that one.
Okay, hi everyone. Welcome to the NUS Hustings debate. Voting opened at 10 o'clock today and is open till 12 noon on Thursday as to whether or not the union will support rejoining the NUS. We've got two candidates, one from the yes campaign, one from the no campaign, and they're going to just come and talk about why we should or shouldn't rejoin for a couple of minutes, then we'll open the floor to some questions. So if I can invite the candidates up to come and have a chat.
Hi, I'm Emma. I'm the leader of the Yes to NUS campaign. The NUS stands for the National Union of Students, and it currently represents over 600 student unions, 7 million students, and 95% of student unions in the United Kingdom. The NUS represents student issues, and it represents them on a national level. You can send delegates from your own student union to speak on major issues, and it represents and fights for the rights of liberation groups such as BAME students, LGBT, disabled, trans and women. The NUS has made real change in its almost 100-year history. It successfully fought for bringing in loans for postgraduate students. It fought to reverse the end of interest-free overdrafts for students. It won votes for 16 in the Scottish Referendum, introduced the 1625 rail card, among a lot of other things that it's done. As a students' union, we actually have a lot of similar interests with the NUS, and a lot of things that we fight for, they fight for too. Being part of the NUS means we can get support for our campaigns and get them out there on a national level rather than just being alone and not even 5% of unions that have chose to be separate. We've got a very passionate students in our students' union, and I think it does them a disservice by being out of it. By letting them be involved, they can make sure that their voice is heard on a kind of a more national platform, the issues that they care about. and I think it's like really the best thing that we can do for sort of marginalised students. So I definitely think we should be considering re-affiliating with the NUS.
I'm a bit short, so. Hi everybody, I'm Scarlett and I am leading the No campaign, so not to rejoin the NUS. Firstly, I think the biggest point is that they're predicting that they'll be running a £3 million deficit at the end of this financial year, and as leaked to iNews recently, they'll actually be bankrupt by spring. I think it's about April that they'll be bankrupt. They had a conference, an emergency conference recently, and one of the delegates who was sent there tweeted that they were actually talking about the colour of the new totem cards instead of discussing the problems with the finances. Because of this financial issue, they'll be cutting lots of the activities that they offer in their own words. This includes about a third of all their paid workers, so this will almost certainly include liberation officers, so the good things that they were doing with liberation for BAME students, LGBT students, will be significantly reduced. Alongside this, if we did join, it would be roughly £50,000 a year that we'd be paying. So over the next 3 years, if that's how long we decide to stay, it would be approximately £150,000, which would come from the money that would go to this union. That money could be way better spent here on campus, making real change. That money goes into the PTO pots, meaning they can run the amazing campaigns like Black History Awareness Month, Trans Awareness Week. These are all really great campaigns we've seen recently, and by paying money to the NUS, we wouldn't have as much money to promote these events. Again, like with the totem card, that's kind of the main reason why most people want to join. You have to pay £12 for it, and when there are things like Unidays and student beans and even discounts offered by our own students' union, there's no point really paying £12 for a card that is essentially now redundant. So yeah, I think you should, these are all the reasons basically that I think you should vote no. Like it's already been said, votes are already open. So yeah, join me in saying thank you next to the NUS and vote no.
Okay, so now we're going to open up the floor to some questions. So I don't know exactly how we're going to do it, but we're going to get each, if you've got a question, if you just want to come up to the front and we'll ask it of the two candidates.
So our first question today is from Charlotte Bolton, who is a marginalised gender officer.
Okay, so what do you think about the liberation campaigns the NUS runs versus the runs run by NUSU?
I don't mind, you can start.
See, I think that's a really good question. I think that actually, like the campaigns that we've run for many years, such as LGBT, trans awareness, they are very sort of like a big overlap with what the NUS does as well. So they run LGBT campaigns, they run trans awareness campaigns. They're also doing a really great campaign at the moment looking into the attainment gap for black students. I think that there is an overlap. We're both looking at the similar issues together, and I don't think that. I think there's a great opportunity to kind of like use that to get the campaigns we do on a national level, because we've seen that with Beyond the Binary when that got to national level, how that sort of opened up the conversation a lot more. And I think with the backing of the similar issues, because they have a similar structure in terms of liberation officers as well, I think that would be really valuable. I think they're doing a lot with their campaigns, and the overlap is really great that we're looking at the same issues, and I think we can use them because they can support your campaigns. It would be really good to like use that as an overlap to sort of look at the issues we're looking at and use them to support it on a more national level, so we're not just kind of keeping our really amazing ideas to ourselves.
So, as Emma says, there is like a lot of overlap, and I think that actually kind of makes the stuff that the NUS does a bit redundant. We're actually making change on our own campus, and as I said earlier, because we would have to be paying so much money to the NUS, it would actually be a detriment to the campaigns that we run ourselves. So all the amazing work that we do at the moment for our students on our campus would actually be at a detriment, because we wouldn't have as much money to support those campaigns as well as we do. So yeah, I think also showing that like Beyond the Binary went to a national level shows that we actually don't need the NUS. We're such a big student body ourselves, that we're a great students' union. We don't really need the support of this like overbearing body to it doesn't prevent us from taking things to a national level. Thank you for the question, Charlotte.
So the next question is, why should students care about the NUS referendum? What impact will it have on the average student?
I think the NUS referendum is an issue that you should really care about as students. You might not think that it affects you, but it really does. When you join, you're part of 95% of the students' unions in this country fighting for issues. You get to send a delegate to conferences, you get to be a part of huge things like talking about, looking at sort of the current sort of price and the fees of your courses. Mental health is a big issue on the agenda. So you get to go and look at things like, how can universities do more to support mental health? How can we do more to sort of put an opposition against the government in terms of rising degree costs? It's just two of the main examples of what they're doing. I think it matters because you have that opportunity to send what we think as students based on our own campus, our own ideas from our own experiences. And if we're not in, we don't get to do that. So we don't get to put motions forward, we don't get to like contribute to that discussion, and we don't get to sort of have our own sort of involvement in national change. And I think it's just really important to kind of, when you vote, to think about all students as well, so kind of the campaigns they're doing, all the students that reflects, that it's really, really important for communities that, you know, are really like, they do research on behalf of liberation groups. It's really important that they are a voice for those people and a representative body for those people on a national level.
So I think taking part of this vote is really important. I think it's also really important to stress that if we don't get the 5% of student voters, it actually doesn't matter what's said by the students. Like, we need as much people to vote as possible, because otherwise it's going to get decided by bigwigs upstairs about whether we stay in or not. Oh, Ronnie. I called you Ronnie then. Sorry, Ralph. Apologies. Live. So I think it's really important that all students get involved in this election. It basically means that your voice as a student is taken into consideration, and yeah, basically you should vote because, yeah, poor answer, apologies.
So our next question comes from Johnny Hall, who's the education officer.
Not taking into account sort of the work that NUS does and the merits of that, or you know, what you think of their campaigns. What is the financial sensibility in sending £50,000 to an institution that's currently £3 million in deficit?
Yeah, just like respond to the kind of news that I'm sure you're all aware of about this £3 million deficit. That's an estimation of like the worst possible situation that could possibly be in. So in terms of like 50,000 as well, we've never actually paid 50,000. We've paid like, so it's like 30 to 40, depending on how many of the discount cards we've sold. But it is kind of like a projected assumption. But we need to remember as well that like in 2006, they came out of a financial situation which wasn't great, and entered a period of like one of the best times that we've been in for a long time, where they kind of had like engaged like democracy. But I think it's just like kind of a panic where they want to kind of make people aware of this is like the worst situation, but bringing in kind of a committee to look about how they can turn it around, looking at kind of increased democracy opportunities, looking at the things that they offer to make it as attractive as they can. I think you could see like real change in what they're offering, because it's causing them to reevaluate everything that they're doing. So I think that it could be, if it's anything to go by 2006, I think it could be like a revitalised sort of organisation.
So I think it's no surprise that I think that sending £50,000 or any amount of money to an organisation that's going bankrupt, that doesn't necessarily have the students' best, doesn't like support students the best that it could, is like basically a good idea. Definitely shouldn't be sending money to an institution that's about to go bankrupt. But I think what's like more important when it comes to like the money side is that like by voting no and not sending that money, it stays on our campus. Like, we get that money. So yeah, there's just no sense in sending all that money to an institution that's about to go bankrupt. Like, and even if I think like if it was like a lesser amount of money, as Emma said, like I still think it's too much to send.
Our next question is from Marioni, the president of the Student Union.
Okay, cool. I've got a question about discounts, because I think for the average student, discounts may be the only thing that they actually sort of feel the effects of from the NUS, and essentially, is the NUS discount still relevant?
So I would argue that it is still relevant. It does offer like a lot of exclusive discounts, such as your Pizza Express discount, your 30% off, your co-op discount. They're not offered by anybody else. With things like uni days, there are kind of technical issues with it. For example, if you look at their like professional Trustpilot review, it gets like a 1.6 out of 10 because it often doesn't work. So you rely upon an app on your phone to consistently work when you're trying to get a discount rather than a card that doesn't have those faults. But it has for a long time been like a really good platform for discounts, with those exclusive discounts from a lot of really, really popular places. And I think that it's still worth it because it only works out at £1 a month, and they know that if you look at the average student spending, it saves you about £250 on average, because it obviously offers discount on things like the 60 or 25 rail card, which they brought in as well, and discount on train tickets, on like sort of shopping, eating out, nights out. So it still is for £1 a month. You definitely do make it worth your while.
So obviously it does offer quite a lot of exclusive deals, but to be perfectly honest, you can just Google discount codes and you'll be able to find them for things like the 16 to 25 rail card. You can just Google discount code and you can just whack it in. Also, like for places like the Co-op and Pizza Express, you can just do your shopping somewhere else, you can eat somewhere else, you don't have to just go to those places. Obviously if you have your personal preference, fair enough. But you can just go eat somewhere else, shop somewhere else. I think as well, a lot of the selling points that the TOSM card has are also redundant. So it's said that you can use it around the world and that it's the only officially recognised student card, which actually isn't necessarily true. I and lots of my friends, like, when we've gone travelling, we can use our Newcastle student card to get those discounts into museums and galleries all over the world. In fact, more often than not, you just need to prove to them you have a university email and they'll let you in. And talking about uni days as well, they also now have a student ID feature. So you can use that as a student ID wherever you go as well. Yeah, so you could use that abroad. So yeah, that's like also a really good way of like getting around it. And also if you're not a university part of the NUS, one of the features of the NUS card is to get an ISIC card, which is an international students card. And that means that you can like prove that you're a student in countries that maybe are a bit more wary of student cards being forged and stuff. You can pay for one of those yourself. It just comes free with the NUS card, and if that's something you're really bothered about, I think it's £6 for a physical card or £1 for a digital card. So there's ways of getting around kind of the things that the TOSM card provides you, not having to be part of the NUS. Thank you.
So we have one more question from Johnny Hall, the Education Officer.
Yeah, just one final question from me. So we know that because the position in NUSSM that it's going to be undergoing reforms. What would you like to see change within the NUS as an organisation?
So I think one of the things that both of us would argue is that, as we've said before, that it's about getting the word out about what the NUS does for students, the benefits it poses for students. I think it needs to be maybe more direct, more open about what it's doing, so students can feel really kind of knowledgeable and involved with it, rather than not knowing what the things that they're doing. I think it's really, really important because, we've been out for 3 years now. We're not exactly having as many students who are going to remember being involved with it. So it's important that they educate everybody on the positive things they're doing and kind of be more forward with it. I think it's really important to get people involved with it.
I I think for me personally, I'd like the NUS to become a place where the people who work for them and the students that are a part of it felt safe and comfortable. So back in 2016, there was lots of issues with anti-Semitism stuff. And then again, this got brought up in 2017, where it speaks to people who were running for roles and who were already part of the organisation. And there are lots of students, Jewish students, who do not feel like the NUS is a place for them. They feel unsafe. At the beginning of this year, Shapira Martin, who's the current president of the NUS, she said that she felt like she was being stereotyped as an angry black woman. Because she was accused of bullying. So either the NUS is a place that accepts people who bully, or it's racist. There's no good way of taking that. Like, if you believe either side, there's something wrong. So for me personally, I'd like for it to be a place where the workers and the students who are involved felt like they were safe and comfortable and well represented. Thank you.
There's sort of one last question. If you could describe the NUS in one word, what would it be?
A shambles.
Oh, sorry.
Just use a word sort of like, like change on a national level, sort of change, progressive change. That's the one word.
Okay, and finally, how can people follow your side of the campaign?
So you can go on Facebook, just put in the search bar No to the NUS. There's a Facebook page, and I'll be posting some more stuff later. There's also some like postcardy things that look like this, say thank you next to the NUS, floating around. So if you want to pick one of those up, give it to your friends, have a little chat about it, get your friends involved, yeah, just hit me up on Facebook basically.
Yep, so there's a Facebook page, Newcastle Says Yes to NUS. We'll be out flyering, quite a few of us are going to be doing that later on probably. But yeah, on our page, we've just got kind of sharing some information there, reasons why, when we think you should re-affiliate, and we have posters will be up with lots of information. You can come up and ask as well, ask us questions and things like that. We'd be really happy to answer those questions.
Thank you very much.
Okay, so that brings us to the end of the hustings. Just a reminder, the link to vote is nusu.co.uk/vote. It's very important that you get involved. We want to hear your voice and you can have your say. So thank you for coming.